guys.
Beautifully done. That's the momentum we're talking about.
They have been unbelievable.
Take this conference to another level.
Living like a rock star, take off like a rocket ship.
ACC championships coming up in just 2 weeks. You can see there Cal topping the stands currently. NC State coming in that third place spot as the reigning ACC champions. And they are out to do a repeat again. It's going to be some stiff competition against Cal and Stanford. You can see there Ohio State not in the ACC. So we'll take a look at the Big Ten standings as well. Big Ten's got some stiff competition. Ohio State there right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. Big Ten gymnastics, not something that we've seen too often this season going against NC State, but take a look at their AQS being that 196-165. So look at how close all of those top ones are. That's where we talk about every tenth, every detail really does count when you get to this point in the season.
So Big Ten championships, ACCs in a couple of weeks. You can see there the March 22nd weekend. ACC's in Greensboro, Big Ten in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Followed by that, they've got the NCAA tournament selection show. Regionals is the big one to get that bid to the national championship. So a 3-day meet for some teams, all aired on ESPN Plus, and then concluding with the national championship in Texas, aired on both ESPN and ABC. We will be back in just a few moments. We are midway through this competition, and Ohio State's got the lead by .125.
You ready?
Look out, folks.
This is looking good.
Perfection. It only gets better from there.
Sunshine, yeah, I feel alive. Everybody's loving it. I'm just having
some big gymnastics coming up as we are at the midway point in this extremely close matchup between the 23rd ranked Ohio State Buckeyes and the 20th ranked NC State Wolfpack. There you can see NC State cut the lead just by the smallest amount, by .025, as the Wolfpack gets ready for beam and Ohio State heads to the floor exercise.
Attention gymnasts, this concludes your team test.
Coach Kim, the beam coach for this Wolfpack team, and they have typically been phenomenal on beam just as a team overall. Their season high coming in at a 49.325.
A 49.325 is a great beam score to be going after. That's going to put them right in the running at a meet like conference championships or at regionals. So they're going to be looking to get that. And I think a lot of that comes from the beam lineup and that beam lineup chemistry. You have to have that team chemistry. You've got to have the confidence in each athlete, and that's when you can start building off of one another and you really get into that consistent rhythm with your teammates.
And talk about consistency. Meg Adler, again, the 3 events and 3 leadoff positions. Definitely some confidence that the team feels in her getting this Wolfpack started on all of the events that she's in.
Yeah, that just speaks volumes for her as an athlete and a gymnast, because I think sometimes people forget they practice this day in and day out in the gym. They practice this lineup exactly where everyone is in the lineup. They watch Meg Adler go first every single day, so it really does become routine and repetitive for each team. Starting off with that back handspring, back layout, acro series.
Beam is one of the events last week that the Wolfpack just wasn't quite themselves. No real major errors, but some of their scores came in a little bit lower, so really trying to shake the nerves tonight.
We talk about there's going to be mistakes throughout the season, so it's how you bounce back, how you react. being able to kind of sweep that last weekend under the rug and come out strong tonight, looking for that at least 49 score that we talked about. She does a side aerial, slight wobble on that. But a really pretty switch side. Just getting ready for her dismount here. She's gonna do that gainer full off the side and ends it with a stick. I love the confidence she has on the event, especially like we talked about, being able to lead it off. So nice job there.
Phenomenal job for Adler. One of the higher scoring routines last week, but still a little bit low for her, coming in at a 9.7.
Did see that deduction right there on that side aerial, but makes it up with the stick on the gainer dismount.
So 1 of 6 for the Wolfpack team on floor. Sydney Washington, again, same spot as Adler, where she leads off the 3 events that she competes in.
Getting ready right here for this first tumbling pass. Huge double pike. She just had so much height and power on that she wanted to break out early, because now that big deduction is going to be from that out of bounds and all those steps. She does that front layout to front full. Nice job there.
Similarly to Adler, Washington went 9-7 last week on this event. We'll hear a lot of Ohio in these floor routines.
Yeah, we've got some fun choreography to watch. This is a 3-pass floor routine, so last tumbling run right here. Huge double tuck, had to take that step forward. It's almost like she overcorrected, wanted to make sure she didn't make that mistake of going out of bounds before. So a nice routine for Ohio State, but unfortunately, that first pass is going to be a big deduction. You can see right here, I love how high she gets throughout and then just couldn't break out quick enough. So that is going to be a pretty significant deduction there. I don't want to speak too soon, but they're probably going to want to try and drop that score if we're getting picky, which I feel like at this point in the season we can be picky.
That's what all of these teams need. So they're looking for the details overall. So we'll move right back to the balance beam. Caroline Volk up in the second spot. So Volk last week actually made her routine, but didn't get a connection bonus, which really threw her score off.
She does that triple series, back handspring, back layout, which is very difficult. Yeah, we talk about these leap combinations. They're just as important as the acro skills as well, because that's what's going to get that 10-0 start value. So even if there's not a fall, sometimes it can be make or break, just as big of a deduction.
And one thing that judges pay attention to is between those 2 leaps, if one of those feet slides or turns early before they actually take off onto that next one, that's where those connections come into play.
She does a beautiful front toss there. She was able to land it higher. We've seen sometimes on those that squatty landing, but no problems there. Gainer full off the side. She's having a night tonight.
A phenomenal job, and I know she is breathing a sigh of relief on that one. You can see the smile on her face. Because of that missed connection, she only went 9.325 on that routine. So between these leaps is really where she made that mistake. And what happened was she scooched those feet in between, and so she didn't get skills and credit and bonus and all kinds of fun stuff that the judges are looking for.
Yeah, beautiful routine there.
So big smiles from Volk as we move right back over to the floor. Caitlin Grimes in the second spot. You see Sydney Washington only a 9.425, so that'll definitely be the score that they want to drop.
I really like that double pike that she does for her first pass. We talk about you're allowed to have that lunge without a deduction, and then she does that 1.5 to front layout. Nails that.
Floor is actually one of the Buckeyes' best events. They're ranked 17th in the country.
So if we talk about it and break it down, Sydney Washington, the 9.425, the rest of your lineup probably feels a little bit more pressure. Maybe not a ton, but definitely some to try and make up for that score. So far, Caitlin Grimes is doing a great job. Ends with a double tuck. Beautiful and controlled landings throughout. You can see the Ohio State team's really excited about that.
Grimes, one of the seniors for this Buckeye team. And just a beautiful routine overall.
Yeah, I really liked that routine. I loved the tumbling. She had that height throughout, but also was able to control those landings to minimize those deductions. So what a great reset routine for them. Take another look here at the last pass, which again, pointing out, she did 3 tumbling passes. We don't see that as often in collegiate gymnastics anymore. So major props to her for that and being able to do this double salto pass with no issues. We're just going to bounce out of it, right?
So Brooke Smee, the senior out of Holly Springs, in the beam lineup. Not in the beam lineup last week, but we did see her a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, she's been working really hard to break into this beam lineup. Seen her exhibition and, like you mentioned, in the lineup a couple weeks ago. She did a great job. She starts off with that front toss to the back handspring. Beautifully done. Looks like she wobbled on her dance a little bit. Sometimes when you get too excited about something and you're moving through, you forget.
You put so much emphasis on the hard skills that you forget about the walking across the beam part.
Absolutely.
Her debut routine went 9.875, so what a way to start off.
Yeah, that's got to give you confidence. Does that cat leap into the gainer full, lands with a stick. So another beautiful routine. We say sticks are contagious, and that's what we're seeing here in this beam lineup.
3 for 3 in this beam lineup, and really the only execution from Smead was that wobble on the dance move.
Yeah, I really liked that routine. She looked so confident up there and was able to end with a stick like we just said. You see that cat leap right there, and then goes into the gainer full and lands upright on that. So
I think the smile says it all on Brooke's face as well. Riley Guevara on floor. We've seen her on a few other events.
Starts out with a front double full to a front tug. She just looked like she was floating on that. That front double full is a really difficult skill because of that front line landing there.
Guevara also a 3-event individual. So we'll see her again on beam.
Getting ready for her second tumbling pass here. So Rudy to back layout step out.
That was beautiful.
Really beautiful. it's hard to make these skills look controlled in the air, and that's exactly what she's doing. She's doing a great job at it. Beautiful routine, all front tumbling there. But one thing I've noticed from this Ohio State team is how bouncy they are in their tumbling. Bouncy, but very controlled.
They have a lot of dynamics, most definitely, and I loved almost the theatrics of her performance. This was her theater stage.
Notice the height she gets from that front double full, and then that punch front goes even higher, and then beautiful Rudy. Feet don't even come apart until that step out. It's going to be a good score for them.
So far, two phenomenal routines for the Buckeyes. Really looking again at hopefully eliminating that 9.425 out of Washington as Peyton Childs takes her turn on the beam.
And they're just moving through this lineup. This is the spot that you want to be in, especially for the athletes that still have to compete. She does that back handspring. Back layout. Looked a little shaky, but was able to cover it well. She does that switchy straddle quarter there.
I think some of that, just again, it wasn't the beam team that we typically see out of NC State last week. So a little bit of nerves. Just you always want to do your best, but you put that added pressure on yourself.
Yeah, and I always like to say it's better to have those jitters and have meets or events like that happen now rather than in championships or regionals or even nationals. So not what they want, but again, when you're looking at the positives from it, better now than later, right?
Absolutely. You never want to have your off meet at your conference championships.
Definitely not, but so far, nice beam routine, and then another stick. I think that's 4 in a row.
I believe so.
So one thing to highlight and note is that they have been sticking all of their dismounts, which those 10s are going to add up.
100%, and you can see it reflected in their scores. I feel like the scoring tower, those are the scores we're used to seeing out of NC State.
Yeah, you can see right there on that acro series, her feet were a little bit off, but she did a great job, like we mentioned, covering up.
So back over to the floor. 3 of 4 for Tori Vetter.
Starting off with a huge double tuck. She had a lot of power, but did a great job kind of staying in bounds and holding that in.
Vetter ranks 8th on this event in the Big Ten. She's 30th in the nation on floor.
It's important for these teams where if it's their best event, that's really where they want to excel and capitalize.
She's definitely one that I could see making it to nationals as an individual if Ohio State doesn't make it as a team.
Yeah, and that's a whole extra layer to talk about that you can't make it individually. So many rules and
there's a lot
things to know in postseason hits, but
there's a lot.
Beautiful front layout punch Rudy. That's a difficult combination there. It's difficult to do the Rudy as a second pass because that's all about the timing. So nicely done for Vetter.
A phenomenal job so far. Again, really picking up from that first score. Vetter went 9-9 last week.
Take another look here at the front layout, and then notice how she's able to rise and get that twist around, which is what's difficult. But she had no issues on that.
So a phenomenal job out of Vetter. They've got 3 solid routines under their belt for the Buckeye floor team. Katie Harper in the 5th spot for this Wolfpack beam team. There you see Peyton Childs at 9.775. It is the low score so far.
Getting ready for this acro series. Back handspring, back layout. She's able to stick that no problem. I did notice a little bit of form break throughout that the judges could take if they'd like. Just a little bit of bent legs and flexed feet there. Again, that's when we're being picky, but I feel like at this point we have to be when we're talking about every 10th counting.
Harper currently ranked 14th in the ACC on this event.
She does that front toss. Just has the dismount here. It's going to be a punch full, and I did not see if she stuck it or not.
I think she did.
Based on the reaction, I'm going to go with yes, but it was hard to see.
Definitely hard to see, but we'll call it 5 for 5.
We'll take another look here at the acro series. So she does a nice job being able to stick it, but just a little bit of bent legs throughout. And then the dismount. Let's see from this angle. Punch, tucked front full, and yes, she did get that stick. That's a blind landing too. So you really got to give this NC State beam lineup props for 5-6 in a row now.
I love it. That's exactly what the beam team wanted to do coming off of last week. So we are nearing the back part of these lineups. Mallory Gregory on floor. Gregory, a junior out of Claremont, Florida.
She does a front layout to the Rudy. Same passes we saw from Vetter. A lot of these athletes in this floor lineup have so much power and bounce, like we talked about. You can really see it through their tumbling, so really important to be able to control whether it's in the air or that landing.
I love on her floor routine. Her tumbling passes are all no-handed.
Yeah, that's really tough to do. You've really got to get creative when that's the case. Get ready for this next tumbling pass right here. Do that front layout to front full. She was able to cover up that landing well. It looked like she had a little bit of shuffle there. So again, not sure what the judges see from their angles. It's a little bit different, but we'll see here. She does that front layout, and then the Rudy. She had a lot of power on that, so a little deduction there on that landing, but then that last pass, she was able to break out, and I like how she covered it up with that dance move right there. Just try and minimize that deduction.
Great job. So Mallory, again, a very strong score that should be counted in the Ohio State floor team as we take a look at Chloe Negretti.
I've talked about her all season long, and just how great she's been on every single event that she competes in. But she really excels on beam because of her extensions and just the grace that she has. It's like she's floating on balance beam.
Very tricky to do. I don't know if you can float on balance beam.
She does beautiful leap combination. When we talk about extension, this is what we're talking about. The toe point, the straight legs, even just on that split jump right there. So far, this has been a flawless beam routine. She just has this dismount left, one of my favorites to watch. It's going to be a round of double full. And she's able to get the stick and on senior night and for the 6th one in a row.
I don't know. When do you see 6 sticks in a row?
Really not often. and I couldn't tell you the last time that I did. So everyone's chanting 10 in the crowd, but...
And it was the last home meet. One judge did flash a 10. She ended up with that 9.975.
She definitely has potential for a 10.0.
Give it to her. It's senior night.
But notice how her feet and her legs don't even come apart on the twist throughout. I don't know if they'll take that little shift or how her leg kind of lifted a little bit.
That would
might be a slight deduction. But regardless, beautiful beam routine. One of my favorites to watch.
Well, very well deserved of whatever score it gets. We'll just maybe see like a 9.95.
Right.
So, all right. So Chloe Negretti's score coming in as we take a look at Mason Rader on floor.
First tumbling pass here. Huge double pike. Just so much power, and she goes out of bounds again. So they're really going to want to be looking at how to keep those landings or breaking out early from these tumbling passes to avoid those extra deductions there. She has a front foot, a front tuck.
And too much power is definitely better than not enough, but as you go into your conference championships, your postseason, you've got to stay in bounds because that 10th is coming off the average of the score.
Yeah, so sometimes it can hurt a little bit more. Ready for this last tumbling pass here. I love when there's 3 passes in the routine. Ends with that double tuck, just a little bit off on that landing, but it wasn't a height or a power issue there. So a good routine. She's probably not going to be too happy with it just because of, well, because gymnasts are perfectionists.
They're chasing the perfect 10.
Right, but a couple things here and there that the judges will deduct on, but the main thing being that out of bounds there.
So we've got Chloe Negretti scoring. One judge flashed a 10 again. Ends with that 9.975.
If I had to guess, it maybe was the dismount.
Possibly.
Or something, because she lifted sort of.
So 2 home meets and 2 9.975s for Negretti. Ashley Knight in the exhibition spot, in and out of this beam lineup. But again, just giving her more experience overall.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, how great exhibitions are to have that exposure, especially when you have more depth. That's a great thing. She does that front walkover and wobbled on that. That was supposed to be a combination connection right there. So the judges, that's where your start value comes into play. I'm not sure.
That was an issue that she had last week as well, just with that forward acro series. It's really difficult to actually look and figure out where you're at.
Yeah, she does that.
But the fact that she can do this is phenomenal.
Yeah, she has a lot of unique skills on balance beam. We saw her mess up on that jump, though, and touch the beam. So a little bit off throughout the routine. But her beam skills are beautiful. I love that dismount, that Rudy off the end of the beam. But a couple of mistakes here and there as well.
So again, a great job by this Wolfpack beam team. That 49.35 actually gives them a new season high by a quarter of a 10. So just narrowly surpasses that 49.325 mark that they had and able to drop the 9.775 for Peyton Childs. So that concludes rotation number 3. The Wolfpack is going to have a floor party when we come back after this break.